All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Digitech Zeal. Okay, so I think I gave us an assignment, and it's like only one person submitted the assignment. For those of us that are here, who among us has submitted the assignment? Who has done it, but you have not submitted? Please kindly speak up before we continue. Anybody? Hello, anybody? Afolabi, have you done your assignment?
I wasn't able to do it.
So I did my own and sent it.
Okay, I think you are the one that submitted. Esther Francis, have you done your assignment?
Yes, sir.
What happened? You did not submit it to the group.
I submitted my assignment, sir.
In the group?
Yes, sir. The first one.
Okay. All right. So for those of us that are not doing assignment, I think I've already told us before now that the implication is that we may not give you certificate at the end of this entire training because we cannot verify your performance. So please endeavor to attend to all the assignments given. Thank God you have the video with you. Make sure you go through them one after the other and kindly do the assignment in each of them. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. So yes, we have spent some time understanding websites design building blocks using HTML and CSS. Remember when we started this training, I told us that the objective is for us to create a website using various programming languages, of which we have started looking at HTML, which is one of the basic language for website content creation. And then we have also started looking at CSS for the web content beautification. And I'm very sure that everybody that has been following this training, by now you should have known some basic HTML tags and some CSS properties. So just to quickly recap on some of the tags that we have mastered or we have discussed in this training, we started with HTML heading tags. And I told us that the HTML heading tags, they are used mainly for creating heading within our websites. And we also talk about a paragraph tag, which is used for creating multi-line contents, particularly text within our website pages. Then we also talk about the anchor tag, which I told us is used for linking your website pages. For example, we're able to connect the home page to About Us page and also to Contact Us page. We also talk about the image tag, which I said is used for adding images to your website. I think we have discussed video tag also in this class, which I said is used for publishing videos within your website. That is on the HTML aspect. Remember, I told us that the role of the HTML is to help us to define the website structure. All right. So I think the perfect example I gave that very day was just like you visit those guys building houses in the site. You see them arranging the blocks until the shape of the building is what formed, which means the blocks defines the shape of that house or building. The same way HTML offers us these building blocks, which we are calling the tags that help us to structure our website so that our website can have a shape, right? And then we also talk about CSS, that CSS is a subordinating or helping website development language, which help to decorate, to improve the appearance of any of this content you must have created. For example, when you publish your heading, I showed us how you can give it color with CSS. You add an image. I also showed us how you can resize it, how you can even convert it from a rectangular image towards a circular image. So we did all that. So what we are trying to understand is for you to know how these two languages are related. I think I asked us a particular question that can we call CSS without HTML in place? And the answer was no. That is, you must create a content. For example, you must publish a heading. You must add an image before you think of decorating it. It's like you don't have a face and you want to do makeup, because the CSS is the makeup artist. It's the one that makes the face of your website look presentable and readable. So you must have a face. All right, so that is why we started looking at HTML to give us some content before we start relating the CSS with those contents. All right, so today we are going to start a project, and probably we will see how we can complete the project tomorrow. I think we are still meeting tomorrow, right? Somebody should respond. Tomorrow is still our class day, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we are going to start a project, and in the process of developing this website project, there are other tasks or other things that we are going to learn. And I want to tell every one of us that those of you that have not been doing assignment, this one is a must. In fact, this is the criteria that I'm going to use to issue certificates. Anybody who does not create this project without any tangible reason, that person should not expect certificate at the end of the training before we return back to school. So we want to design a simple website. So let's assume after learning, or the way you have learned some HTML tag and CSS properties, and your parents now want to test you that now, can you create a website page for us? Now, the way you are to approach such is that you start afresh. Remember, when we started, we created a project folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is to right click. So for those that have missed some classes, this project will definitely touch all the tags, if possible, that we have discussed and some of the techniques we have used. So I would advise you to pay attention to this project, and I'm going to be taking it gradually. Like I said, my intention is not to complete it today. So I'm starting it today, and then tomorrow we complete it. And then I will now give us an assignment to work on a project between tomorrow and next class. All right. So to start the project, the first thing is for you to understand the type of website you want to create. So I want to create a website, let's say, for example, a portfolio website, a website that talks about myself, a website that can enable me to probably program about myself. Let's say I'm looking for a job, and the company says, instead of submitting your CV, can you show us your portfolio website? A portfolio website is a website that talks about you. You are advertising yourself, what you do, your name, your qualification. That is what portfolio website is all about. So that is the website we are going to create. Whatever I am creating, you are going to replicate it. And at the end of it all, you should show your parents or whoever that is sponsoring you that this is what I have learned for this period at Digitech Zeal. All right. So now to start with, now you can see that I have a vision. I have a purpose. I have designed the type of website I want to create. Now, to start that project, the first thing I'm going to do is to gather the resources that I'm going to use to build the website. The resources includes my pictures. And if I have some videos that I have recorded where probably I was talking about myself, if I want to go that direction, whatever it is that makes up describing myself that I have to show the public that this is who I am, then I need to put them together in a folder. All right. And to do that, I'll start by creating a folder. Remember, you know how to create a folder. You right click on an empty space, and then you navigate to new, and then you create a folder. All right. So this is just like we are summarizing everything we have learned before. So if you can even focus only on this without going through some of those videos we have learned, you can still come out with something good. All right. So I want to name it Prosper Projects, Prosper Portfolio. Let's say this is how you name your own. All right. That is, this website is going to talk about Prosper, but unfortunately, it's like I've used a name that relate to that. So I will have to create another folder. So let's say pros underscore portfolio. I hope it's like something is wrong with my keyboard coming. I think a particular button is pressed down. That's why it's giving me that error. Okay, so let me just, okay, I know, because it shouldn't have wiped it off by itself. So something is wrong. Just give me 1 minute. Coming. Okay, so though the keyboard is still malfunctioning. Okay, so now I've created the folder. I just want to make it brief. And then inside this folder, as we have been taught before, you open it up and then you make other folders that are connected to the website you are creating. All right, so the essence of creating these other folders is to probably segment this record or these resources. You want to separate them. So I'll create a folder called IMG, which represents image. So all the pictures that I'm going to publish across the website, I'm going to keep them here. And then, of course, I'll make another folder called CSS, which is going to hold all my decorating codes, right? So once I'm done with this, then I will have to look for my pictures and add them here. So let me see if I have, I think this is one of them. So let me just take this. So if you are doing yours, make sure you get your picture. Don't know why this. It should not just waste our time. That's cleared it off. Let me pause it and then rectify this so that it doesn't. All right, please confirm. I hope you can hear me now. I think you should be able to hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let me quickly transfer the picture into the image folder. Remember, I created a folder called image. And then we paste the picture. So you have other pictures you're going to work with. Since it's a portfolio website, you can get some of your beautiful pictures that you know that look appealing, that people will see on the website. I will make them to want to hire you for that job. So once you have created your folder, all right, so the next thing is for you to open your editor, which is the Visual Studio Code, where you want to write your code. So once you have done that, the next thing is for you to install that particular folder here, right? Just like the way we install this folder. So you go to File, then from File, you go to Open Folder. From Open Folder, you go to Desktop, and then you locate that folder. I think it was pros something something. So let me look for the folder name. I think this is it. And then all you need to do is just to touch that folder. Just to touch it, make sure that the name of the folder is what is showing here, and click on Select Folder. All right, so I think something is still wrong. I just hope that you're able to manage this. I don't want to switch it off so that it will not delay the class. Let me see if I can just cope with it. So I'm looking for, hope it has not even deleted the folder that I know I saw pros. Let me check again. Let's remove it. Let me just quickly. Oh, this is my need to restart it. I don't want to restart it. Let me see. Maybe if I enter the coding session, I'll be able to manage it. Okay, so just allow us to pick this folder. So you go to Open Folder. So let's look for it. It should be here now. Cross and then click OK. So this is part of what we have learned so far. I'm just trying to go over it again for some of us that miss some of these steps. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is to create my first page, which must be named index. And how do you create that page, that file? You make sure that you are not in any of these subfolders. So from here, I think, let me just create my CSS folder here. So make sure that you are not in any of this subfolder. When I say subfolder, I'm referring to the folders under what? The main folder, which is pros. So it is only the arrow that is attached to the main folder that should be facing down at the time you are creating a file, so that the file does not go into any of this. For example, if you allow this arrow attached to the CSS to face down and you click on file, you are automatically creating your file inside CSS, not inside pros. And none of your HTML file should be inside what? The folder. So we need to avoid that. This is going to cause. Let me look for the delete button. I think that's what. Okay, so I was talking about how you observe your file structure before you create a file, so that the file does not go into a wrong folder. That was the advice I was trying to give to us. So now that we have created our file structure, we have the main file, the main folder with these two word item. So I'll click on file and then I'll name it index, like I was telling us. So the index is the first page of your website, all right, which we normally call the home page. So once you have typed your index, you must specify the extension. The extension is what defines which language are you using. So that is why I'm going to say .html, which means I'm using what? HTML language. And then once you have done that, once you have typed the name of your file, you click outside anywhere, and that will open up the file. And the file will be blank like this. So the next thing you are going to do is to activate the HTML default file structure. So across some of these advanced IDE, there are HTML basic structure file that you can actually inherit. That is, you don't want to start coding from scratch. So all you need to do is just to type HT. By the time you type HT, you see it giving you these three options. Then you click on HTML5. These are still part of what we have done before. I'm only trying to go over them again. Somebody should keep reminding them in the group to join. All right, so now, okay, I've seen the button that is causing the problem. I think it's this backspace key. All right, so now that I'm not sure we'll be able to continue with this. I need to shut down. Let me see if I can. Confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the first part of our website. Now, let's look at our website structure. So I would like you to draw this also in your notes. Name it website structure. Want to look at the shape of the website and the various parts that are responsible for your website. So your website look like this. So every website has three main sections. We have a part at the top like this, and then we have another one at the bottom. Make sure you are sketching it too, because this is what you are going to follow to create yours. Now, I'm going to talk about the responsibility of each of these three parts. What should be created here, and what should be designed here, what should be here. So the whole of this place, you label it what? Navigation bar. label it navigation bar. Navigation bar, label it navigation bar, the whole of this section. Now here is called the main body. The main body. Why here is called the footer. I hope you are sketching all this. Why here is called the footer. So remember here, I say here is what? Navigation bar. Navigation. Navigation bar. Now let me explain the responsibility of each of these parts. So right, let's define the navigation bar. So the navigation bar, so the navigation bar, I hope you have copied it because as I was timed out now, all of that diagram has wiped out. So just define navigation bar, right? Navigation bar is a section. I'm just afraid of writing before it will wipe it off. Let me see if I can manage. Say navigation bar, navigation. Let me use capital letters so that you can see it. Navigation. Navigation bar is a section. I hope we are writing before it will clean up. Of a website. Navigation bar is a section of a website that contains links, right? Or that contain links or button or buttons that help users move. Let me break it so that you can. That helps user move from one page to another. I hope you are writing. So that is the function of the navigation bar. I believe some of us must have visited websites. You know, when you get to a website, you see different link. You can see home link there. You can see about us link. You can see contact list. You can see services or program link. When you click on any of those links, you'll be taken to a different page with different content, which means you navigated from the previous page to another page. And what makes it possible? Because you click on a link. All right, so the link is just like the bridge, what is connecting one end to the other end. All right, so in website development or design, we create link to connect pages. So those main links that are structured to connect you within the pages in the site where all the links are assembled, that is where we are calling the navigation bar. All right, so in other words, it is a bar or a section that provide us links to navigate from one page of our website to another page. I hope that is clear. Can I get a response? Do you understand that?
Sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is what navigation bar is all about. Now, we are going to create a simple navigation bar. we are going to create a simple navigation bar. That is the first project. That's the first part of our project. Like I said, anywhere we stop, we continue from there in our next section, which is tomorrow. So we are going to start with the navigation bar design. Navigation bar design. So if you are done writing this, in fact, God will just help us because this button that's pressing. Okay, so I will have to activate the HTML file again. HTML5. HTML5. Oh God, I hope. So HTML5. So in the title, I will just put my website. Make sure you are taking note of things that I'm doing. My website. In the title, I will put my website. Then in the body, like I said, we are designing the navigation bar. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a container. To harbor all the links. Remember, we just defined it now that it is a section of a website that contain the links. So which means that the links, they are individual elements or entities that you are putting inside the container. All right. So what do we now use to represent the container? We use this tag called what? Nav is a tag. So this is the container. Then you press enter to open it up, which means that all the links comes in here. All right. So the first thing you write, you create this tag called nav. So it's a tag. Like I told us that while we are doing this project, we are going to come across some tags that we have not explained. Right, that's the process. We cannot explain all the tags before we start building website, because after all, it's not all of them you are going to use. All right, so once we have understood the basic one, then we can now continue. We learn the rest while we are building the project. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I will start creating the link. Remember that we learned a particular tag that can be used to create link. Can anybody unmute and tell us the name of that tag? Since I want to create link inside this container now, what is the name of the tag I should use to create those links? Can anybody unmute and tell us? Let's do that fast because of the keyboard. I want to see how we can run through it. Nobody have an idea on the tag for us to create the links? Nobody can try? I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What is the tag? What's the name of the tag I should use to create the link inside this
I think it's the paragraph tag.
paragraph tag? Let me hear from another person. I want to create links inside this nav tag. Remember that
So you use the A tag.
we use the A tag. Ayafolabi, make sure you read your notes. So we use the A tag. All right. So the first link is the index. The first link, make sure you are copying your note too, is what? Index.html. That is the first link. Now, every link you create must have a description. What will the user see to click on? That is called description. So that will be what? Home. All right. Then you go down here, you create another tag, press letter A, and then this one should be about you. Remember, there is a portfolio website. So these are pages we are going to create, about.html also. And then there must be a link description. You put what? About here. Or you can say about me, whichever way you want to address it. You can say about me. Then we are still creating. Remember that this is a portfolio website. This is a website I want to use to publish information about myself so that employer can hire me tomorrow. So the next one is contact, or let's say, what do I do? What are the services I offer? What are the services I offer? So I will say, okay, services, service.html. Then the description will now be service also. So the next one is contact. If somebody like my profile and he wants to hire me, want to reach out to me for any of the services that I render, then there should be a page where they can get to my social media platform, maybe where they can connect to me through Facebook, connect to me through WhatsApp, any of the contact information that I have, and then I'll publish that in that page. So I'll add contact.html. Contact.html. So I'll say contact. Now, let me check the front end and see what we have developed. So I'll right click as usual, go to open with Live Saver. I hope we are following. Oreva, I hope you are following. If I can just hear from Oreva. Oreva, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, let me. So let's check the front end. You can see what we have developed. You can see them here. All right. So these are links. Somebody can come to this website and then decided to click on this, then click on this to check about me and so on. Now, all this link, we have not created their pages. So the next thing I'm going to do, this is my keyboard I've started. I just pray that you help me to. Hey, God. I don't want to restart this. There is the nouns. That one has gone. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is we have to go and style it to make it look good. Remember, we talked about CSS. We want it to look good. So let's use our CSS to style it. Oh, I'm having this important class. I'm having this keyboard issue. So now let's go to CSS and make these links look good. So I will just create my CSS file. Remember, I'll click inside the CSS and make a file. I will just say style.css. Now remember what I taught us. Since you are using external CSS, you have to connect them together. All right, so we have to connect them together. So I have to come to the index, that is the HTML, then go to the head, and then I'll type what? Link. And then inside this href, I'll put slash, and then I'm going to CSS, and then I'll select the CSS file. So with that, I have already what? Linked them together. So in my CSS, I'll start by talking to the container. It's like the first part of the container has even been removed. Let me add it, the opening tag section. So let me just activate it again. I will just remove this. Now, the first thing is to the first thing is for me to identify the element I want to style, the container first, that is holding all this tag, which is nav. So I will go to the CSS. This thing will not close this.